All right, Dirty Sports, episode 766. We are live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey. No chill, pray now.
Hello, Andy Ruther.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Andy. I'm going to start off by saying this. You said I'm in Los Angeles, California, which is true. But I want you to know that as of Thursday, like we might even have to record this episode on Wednesday night, I will be in New Orleans, Louisiana, because I have shows there this weekend. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday at Comedy House in New Orleans. Andy, you might be like, what is this plug thing that you're doing right out of the gate? But like sometimes dirtballs just amaze me. Half a dozen messages from people in the Santa Barbara County area. What do you mean you were in Santa Barbara? Guys, stick around for plugs on the show, guys. And then you won't have this thing where you're like, you were 2 minutes away from me. I could have seen a show. Yeah, guys. So if you're in Louisiana and you somehow missed the 500 plugs I've done for that, I will be at Comedy House New Orleans this Friday and Saturday, followed by watching my Giants play for a draft pick on Sunday in the Superdome. So please come to those shows if you're anywhere in or around New Orleans.
Yeah, it reminds me when I did the pitch in Cincinnati in 2016. I just like was snapping on dirt balls. Just like, well, how do I get a ticket? And I'm just like, guys, and that's when the fuse was extremely short on my end.
Remember the original, like, was it Mata or somebody like was like, what's a zip code? I'm like, you know what? I hate to go full boomer, but sometimes you guys are unbelievable.
That was Mata. He didn't know what a zip code was. I do worry about the future, man. I worry. I'm not gonna lie.
The future. How about the present, Andy?
I know it's connected. I don't know. Like I've been on a deep dive on this investigation series of articles on Facebook, and it's just like, oh, it's so depressing, man.
On about Facebook?
Yeah, like Wall Street Journal did like a 5-part investigation, and now it's gaining
because by the way, you're the way it came out of your mouth, it's like every anti-vaxxer. It's like, listen, kind of in the middle of a deep Facebook investigation here, following a trail of breadcrumbs. It started with my Aunt Karen.
But I don't even
saying that they're microchipping me.
We'll get to the NBA Rolling Stone story, but I don't even like the term anti-vaxxer because it's like it's just an anti COVID-19 vax.
Oh,
most of those people are not anti polio, smallpox, measles, flu, you name it. Most of those people
didn't know, Andy. They didn't know then. It's really not. It's really just a matter of, it really isn't anti anything. I said this the other day too, and I mean maybe this will lead us into this conversation. But originally, my thing with it really seems like a lot of this stuff is political division. Obviously, people saying this, Democrats say the sky is blue, Republicans say it's gray, whatever. Like they refuse to agree on anything. But like when it came to the masks, the vax, like I try originally. I'm not like a hyper, despite what, our Reddit says, I'm not like some super woke, whatever. Like I have plenty of conspiracies in my fucking conspiracy theories in my bag. I've been saying from the beginning, this was, a chemical attack essentially on us. But the idea that like giving people the idea like, okay, I'll hear you out. Why don't you want to take, what are you afraid of? What's the fear? Why are you anti-mask? Okay. What's your thing? Okay. But then the day I realized that it's 100% just like, I'm going to go the opposite of what other people say is when Joe Biden eating ice cream started getting politicized. Once people started being like, look at him eating ice cream, I was like, come on, guys. We all love ice cream, right? You can't be. There's people out there who are like taking shots at a guy for eating. So this is literally just, you showed your hand here.
Well, I be honest, I didn't even follow that. He's
eating ice cream again.
First of all, I'm just going to call it and then we'll move on for that. I mean, our current president, he's a walking corpse. I don't care. Like, the thought that he is the president is ridiculous. I mean, it's 100% ridiculous. The guy is not, he's checked out. The last president was absolutely ridiculous as well. So I'll leave it at that. You've gone from back-to-back extremes, and you guys can fight all you want. I'm just like, cool, dude. I got football. Football has saved me. And that was my point about the Facebook. Like,
must be nice, Andy. Must be nice to be a Rams, Chargers, Bucks fan right now, huh? Must be nice.
Football is hot in LA right now.
You know, Cincinnati's playing so well. I wouldn't be surprised if they're suddenly in the mix again.
In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend.
Off the Steelers, no longer a Big Ben Steelers stan. We're exclusively in LA. A lot of Russ talk has really died down on this show. It's just Brady, Chargers, Rams at this point.
Well, we can start there if you want. I'll say right now, the Rams are playing the best football on all sides of the ball in the NFL.
Absolutely.
And to me, it's not even a question.
And it's, again, I've been on this campaign for a while. You've been on this campaign for a while. It's like McVay, the whole theory for a while was like, last year, the year before, when they go to the Super Bowl, they have the outstanding season. I think that's year 2. Was that year 2 of McVay?
Correct.
So go to Super Bowl in year 2. Everybody's like, best coach in football. Then they kind of have, a little bit of a backslide because they're not in the Super Bowl again. And everybody goes, and it's the worst hot take, sports talking heads that we always say, have people figured him out? It's like, no, people figure out the great coaches, they continue to evolve and they keep staying a step ahead. And I said it before, and I will say it again. He was unable to continue to evolve because his quarterback could not evolve with him. And McVay is now the jizz all over his computer screen and room.
Randy Marsh.
Yeah, South Park gif. Because he has a great quarterback who can now continue to evolve and do all the things and make all the throws and make all the reads. And he has returned because he's able to do it to being a level ahead of the vast majority of NFL coaches. And it's why that they have talent. They have a great coach. They have a great quarterback.
Yeah. And last year, their defense led them. They gave up the fewest amount of yards, the fewest amount of points. Make no mistake, the defense led the team last year. The offense wasn't terrible, but that defense was so good, and they bring everybody back, and you see how good they are again yesterday. You add Matthew Stafford, who doesn't need training wheels. Jared Goff still needed training wheels. McVay was still in his head calling all the plays. He couldn't make any audibles on his own. Now you have an offense that is letting it rip without a running game for the most part. Let's call it what it is. They're real thin at the running back position. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. And that's McVay. McVay, like Belichick, like an elite coach in the league, changes his everything based on his personnel.
Yeah.
Last year we were led by the defense. Yeah. You didn't trust your offense. So it's like, don't turn the ball over, let the defense get stops, whatever. Now the amount of shots and they finally connected on a couple, but the amount of just Matthew Stafford seeing how far he could throw it. And if Deshaun Jackson could run underneath it, like they opened the game with 2 of those missed before they got one.
Yeah.
He never lets Jared Goff make that throw.
Sure.
He let Stafford do it 4 times.
And obviously, Cooper Kupp is playing great. He has more touchdowns this year than he did all of last year. There's obviously some sort of connection between those two, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah,
I mean, they're stacked.
Yeah, they're stacked, and really, are they that much more stacked than last year? No, they're one guy more stacked.
Yeah, they're really not. You're right. It's the quarterback change, and you see how important that position is. Now the Bucs will be all right. Look, the Bucs they won the Super Bowl. They got dominated yesterday, but they'll be all right. They'll be in the thick of it.
I mean, right now, Vegas favorites for the Super Bowl as of yesterday, post the Bucs loss, post the Chiefs loss, still Bucs Chiefs.
I know.
Followed by Rams.
I was looking at that,
which was weird to me, but
I mean, they're the crop for sure. They're the cream of the crop.
Not tough weird division. Not weird that those teams are up there. Weird that the Rams had leapfrogged them. I mean, the Rams, they're the best team in the NFC, and they're looking like probably the best team in football.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in football right now. Good day for LA football, obviously, and good day for that stadium. It sounded loud. Fans were into it.
Everybody shows up. It's a celebrity event with Brady coming to town.
Yeah.
And listen, you know what? I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if your notification noticed, but I had a thing where I was like, I for sure have gotten anti-Stafford hate over the years because I've spoken up Stafford, but in the last couple of weeks I've been in my Twitter and I was like, I can't, I got a guy here and a guy there. And
I saw what you were doing on Dirty Sports' Twitter. I saw
on Dirty Sports Twitter
because I've been so hard on Jared Goff.
Right.
You were going through last year's tweets.
Well, so here's the thing. I was like, I know I've gotten this hate, but I can't. But am I making this up? And then I realized what I was remembering. It was the Dirty Sports YouTube where I said I have Stafford over Russ in what you branded for our YouTube is Russell Wilson top 5 quarterback. And I finally got into those comments. I was like, here it is. Here's all the people that say bearded guy. How dare you? Stafford better than Wilson. How dare you? Clown. I'll never subscribe to this. This guy doesn't know football. Embarrassment. So then I just did a lot of hi replies. How's it going?
Well, look,
how's the NFC West this year now that Matthew Stafford, who is trash, has joined the party? I was like, I found the pool of hate that I was getting on the Matthew Stafford.
Well, look, that's a whole other conversation. Those two, and obviously we're only 3 games in, but it's clearly working out. They are going to be a tough team to beat. Obviously, it's a tough division, but it's going to be fun to watch. And like I said, football right now is looking pretty nice in the city of Los Angeles, who didn't have either team just 5 years ago. The Chargers, I don't want to, normally we say, oh, no hot takes. I don't want to underestimate that win in Kansas City.
How can you underestimate it?
And how they won.
Yeah. They win. They get up early. I mean, the classic Chiefs these days is to come back, and they're going to. And no one's surprised when they're down early in that game, when they have a couple of turnovers, and then suddenly late in the game, they're leading.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the Chargers to do that, to take the punch back, to answer, to go up, to get a stop, the whole thing at the end of the game, it's a signature win. And then obviously Andy Reid has an Urban Meyer. They lose a home game.
Dehydrated?
He's suddenly urbaning. He's not sure for the sake of his family. He should probably take a ambulance to the post game press. Sorry, I can't make the press conference. I'm having chest pains. Just Chris Farley in the Bears video. I'd love to go to the press conference, but so yeah,
Well,
huge win for the Chargers.
I mean, Jim Nantz said it, and I agree. It's like we got ourselves a young quarterback rivalry at this point. And Herbert's the real deal. Herbert had a couple shaky games. Mahomes has now had back-to-back questionable throw. Like the one he did against Baltimore, and now that bad interception. Look, it's year 4 for him.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everybody, when they won that first one, everybody was like, oh, he's going to win so many. Look, he's still the best quarterback in the NFL, but you're seeing how hard it is to not only go back to the Super Bowl, but to win multiple Super Bowls.
I mean, how many quarterbacks ever have multiple Super Bowls? Ever? 8?
It's a small list.
7? Like, I don't know what the number is, but
Montana, the two Mannings, Brady, Bradshaw, Staubach. These are just ones off the top of my head.
Yeah. Then we go to Bart Starr, like
Elway.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's really tough. And like you said, they get behind, and that defense just the defense has always been their Achilles heel through all these Patrick Mahomes teams. But the thing about, I'll just say it right now, the Chargers are an all around better team than the Chiefs because of their defense.
Yeah.
Now the Chiefs offense is probably better. But my point is, come these games, dude, I don't think you can underestimate them starting 1-2, and now 2 teams 3-0, the Broncos and Raiders, and the Chargers are 2-1. Their chances of getting that number 1 seed, from what I've read, are very small projection wise because of that starting 1-2.
What's crazy is we went so many years, some of our younger fans may not remember, but we went so many years where like that didn't matter nearly as much. The last few years having a home game, having a bye has been so much more important. The last 5-7 years. Now we've added only one team gets a bye. So I'll be interested how that plays out, going forward with just the 1 seed getting a bye, like how important that ends up becoming. But, you look at a team like the Chiefs, obviously we're talking about them. It's like the idea of them needing to win the division. Like, I don't think the Chiefs, have any better shot of going to the Super Bowl if they win the division, if they're a wild card, if they, whatever. It's like, yeah, having a home game would be great. Yeah, having a bye would be great. But they're a classic example of a team. It's like, if everybody's healthy and they start chugging along, it's like, you get into November and December. Oh, Patrick Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception since September. Oh, they're like, they have the ability to just dominate teams offensively. And then you work on all things. Like, they're a team that has, since Mahomes took over, almost you're not even worried that they're not going to play in the AFC Championship game, So they're going to be right there. They're at the point now. They're like Mahomes has a LeBron James-ish vibe to him, where it's like, how important is the regular season besides making sure you stay healthy? Besides making sure, your offense continues to evolve. I'm not that worried about the Chiefs, provided they're in the playoffs. But now with the 1 bye, it's like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, I just alluded to it. You have the Broncos 3-0, the Raiders 3-0. Broncos have had a lot easier of a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But it really makes things interesting. The Raiders almost full Raidered that game. They lost the spread, which was crushing me.
Yep.
It had to be Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
Who dives in 4th and 1 to ruin that spread.
And then they still have a chance to beat the spread in overtime, and they don't.
Yeah. If they score a touchdown.
Yep.
But they won.
Yep. And let me say one thing about this and go back to something that I meant to say about the Chargers. We got off the topic a little bit. It's tough to win games in the NFL. The Dolphins without a starting quarterback back in a home game in Las Vegas, it has trap game written all over it, right?
Sure.
So no one's surprised that they don't cover the spread. But I feel like it's a huge win to start as slow as they did, come back, go ahead, let Dolphins come back and tie the game and go to overtime and still get the win. And the same as the Chargers winning that game, the last few years for the Raiders and the last few years for the Chargers,
they lose those games.
Those teams lose those games.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact that they want, it's like, those are the steps that you need to take where you're like, how legit is this team? Okay, maybe you won a game you're not supposed to. Maybe you won a game you typically don't. I mean, this great example, the opposite side of the coin, is my team. We've now, get their ass kicked in week 1. And by all measures of, statistical performance, the Giants win the Washington game and win the Falcons game, and they're 0-3. And it's the complete opposite where you're losing games you're supposed to win. There's going to be coin flip games all the time. But typically for the Raiders and the Chargers the last few years, these games that are kind of come down to it, get wonky at the end, they're always on the losing end. Now they're on the winning end. It's a huge culture shift.
Yeah, I agree.
And surprise, surprise with the Chargers, not the same coach.
Yeah. And the mental side is always just important for athletes. I mean, it really is, or for the culture or for the team. We've talked about it with athletes on the show, and we've talked about it ourselves. When you're drafted to an organization that doesn't expect much, a la Cincinnati Bengals type of organization, or a Cleveland Browns for all these years, it really matters where you go. Whereas if you go to a culture like, let's say, Pittsburgh Steelers, who aren't going to be that good this year, but the expectation is so high, right?
Yeah.
You always say Super Bowl or bust league. And I don't think a lot of franchises have that mentality, but they should.
Well, the mentality should I think you always need the Super Bowl or bust. I just think the mentality for certain teams is Super Bowl or bust when? This year, next year, within 5 years. But the goal has to be always getting you to the position of winning the Super Bowl. If you don't have a coach who can win you a Super Bowl, get rid of him. If you don't have a quarterback who can win you a Super Bowl, get rid of him. If you don't have an offensive line who can win you a Super Bowl, build it. It's one of those things where I think too many teams, and I agree with you, are just like, hey, we got it. The culture needs to start with, we got to win some football games. I actually think it's like, you look at a team like the Jets right now.
Oh my God.
The Jets are a disgrace, but the Jets don't do anything. Like, the Jets really seem like they're trying to win a game here and there. And it's like, guys, your goal should be developing people to really win one day. No one cares if you go 7-10. You're going 7-10 doesn't make anybody happy.
The Jets, to me, are by far the worst team, and it doesn't come close. They are so bad to watch. I can't even watch these games. Zach Wilson's getting killed. It doesn't look good. The whole team is just
He doesn't look
trash.
good because he's under, like, he's in a fucking mosh pit every time he snaps the ball.
Yeah. I saw this great tweet from Mike Garofalo from the NFL Network. Yesterday's losses by the Jets and Giants mean that they combined for 0-6 in September. Over the last 10 seasons, the New York football teams are 20-49 in September, with just one winning month for each team in that span. Again, this is over 10 years.
Yep.
The two teams have been terrible. And it's not good for New York football right now. But luckily, we'll talk about that. But Joe, I know you're going through some things watching your guys just completely implode. I have something that'll help your mental health. Talkspace, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We always, mental health is a big issue right now and a big discussion with athletes. We saw it a lot in the Olympics. We're seeing it a lot in all the major sports now. But let's talk about how we need to keep good mental health as fans, right? When you go through an 0-3 start, I feel like you might need somebody to talk to.
Yeah. I think that was where I was at yesterday, where I really had a decision to make. Was it talk to somebody or just fully give up on the season and focus on being a Rams fan? I went for the latter. But I completely forgot about Talkspace.
Yeah. Well, guys, Talkspace is great because you have access to licensed therapists 24/7 in your app. So whether you're an athlete, a rec league player, or just someone having a bad day, Talkspace is ready to help you start feeling better with a single message. I have used this app. It's a great app. I have my bad days, and just a quick message or a quick video call really can do a huge difference for anybody. So if you feel like your mental health has been stuck on the sidelines, Talkspace is here to help. Match with a licensed therapist. That's a tough word for me today. When you go to Talkspace.com and get $100 off your first month with the promo code DIRTY. That's $100 off when you use code DIRTY at Talkspace.com. Okay. You guys are 0-3. Frustrations have set in. You're kind of waving the white flag on the year.
Well, yeah. I'm waving a white flag on the Giants here, and it's because as bad as the NFC East is, the Cowboys and Eagles play tonight. One team gets their second win. The idea of being 0-3, and honestly, the difference between the Jets and the Giants record-wise is they're identical, but how they got there is, wildly different.
Yeah.
And the Jets have no talent. The Jets have, little direction. They're starting from year one, new coach, and they're also, an abysmal franchise historically. The thing that's really frustrating about the Giants is I feel like there's this popular thing of pointing the fingers at certain people. And while I don't necessarily think these guys are doing a great job, I just feel like there's not a strict enough focus on the people that really should take the blame. A popular thing for as long as he's been employed by the New York Giants is Dave Gettleman is hated, and the Panthers hated him, and blah, blah, blah. I'll say this one thing. I don't like Dave Gettleman. Doesn't seem like a great dude. The Giants do not have a lack of talent. The Giants actually, I think the frustrating part for me, the reason I waved the white flag yesterday is I watch a talented Giants team. I watch a team that I truly believe should be competing with the especially in the division they're in. Are they the Rams talent-wise? Are they the Chiefs talent-wise? Are they the Bucs talent-wise? No. Are they the Cowboys, Eagles, and Washington football team talent-wise? Yeah, I believe they are. Daniel Jones is playing great, not turning the ball over. The defense has talented players on it. Wide receivers yesterday, they lose their top 3 wide receivers, and they still have guys performing. Everybody wants the headline grabbers are over the last couple of years is Daniel Jones is trash. Dave Gettleman doesn't know what he's doing. I would argue that those guys this year have proven they're competent at the very least. Meanwhile, and this is something that has plagued teams around the league, including, the Jets with their coaching situation last year, including the Bears right now, including the Chargers the last few years. Joe Judge is one situation because he's an unproven commodity. He gets taken from Belichick, and, we're going to do the whole Belichick thing, and we're going to blah, 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 blah. But somebody who we have a ton of statistics on, a ton of history, a ton of film on, Jason Garrett is incompetent. He's an incompetent offensive coordinator. He's an incompetent head coach. And honestly, I hate to do this because it puts a lot of my, ticket receiving and all kinds of Giants perks that I get in question. But like hiring Jason Garrett to work in the Giants organization after you play his team twice a year and only win ever against Dallas because of his incompetence is galactically stupid. And it's being proven. The Giants have 2 consecutive football games that they dominate the other team and lose merely because they get down to the red zone and they settle for field goals. The end. And what's even more horrible is what works for the Giants. Jason Garrett abandons anytime there's the game online. And I know that Cowboys fans know this. Dak has played great under Jason Garrett those last few years. But then you get down into the red zone. It's just, hey, let's just hand it to Saquon. Hey, just hand it to Zeke. It's like you ride an RPO in Washington, and then you don't run it one single time this week. You're driving the ball down the field passing wise, and then you get into the red zone and you put the fucking parking brake on. And the Giants dominate the first half and they're up 6-0. And then a shitty penalty and you give the Falcons back field position at the end of the half. They go up 7-6. Game over. Jason Garrett has a resume as long as my Johnson that proves he's an incompetent and antiquated NFL coach. There's no creativity. You have Saquon Barkley. You have a quarterback who can run the football. Not that that's my favorite thing to do because I think guys tend to get hurt, but then you do it and then you do it sporadically. You have receivers out the ass. You go out and you sign Kyle Rudolph. You go out and you have Evan Engram. You don't give him the ball ever. You don't get Saquon Barkley the ball in space ever. Joe Judge is a whole other situation where I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's like, if you're going to lose games because of penalties and you're Mr. Run Laps, it's like at this point, we, again, antiquated millionaires in a players league. No one's afraid of running fucking laps. It's antiquated. I'm a hard ass coach. It's antiquated.
Well, my biggest problem has always been retreads with coaching in general across sports. And that's what's going on here. And I know there's not so many Sean McVays or Kyle Shanahan's out there. I know that like the young offensive minds are tough to find. They're a diamond in the rough.
And then listen,
but we got to stop rehiring these guys.
LaFleur? Who the fuck is this guy? It's like, who cares? I'll tell you who he's not. Adam Gase, Nagy, Jason Garrett, fucking, Hugh Jackson. It's like the New York Giants have had a Jason Garrett boner since he went to fucking Princeton. And he was like a backup on thing. This organization has had a Jason Garrett boner since before he was in. And then you bring in the coach. You don't do the retread situation, right? You bring in Joe Judge, and then you force him to take on Jason Garrett. I've never, like, Andy, it's there. You're in a division against a Cowboys team that over the last 10 years has been significantly more talented than you and not significantly more successful because they've had an idiot coach. And then you hire that idiot coach.
There are a lot of coaches that I would get rid of. And you referenced Nagy. The Bears are so brutal to watch, man. Like this. That's why I picked Cleveland and didn't hesitate, because I watched the Bears Bengals game last week. Matt Nagy is so Justin Fields had one net passing yard. One.
Well, and that's the thing about the Bears. It's like you get a game like this. To me, this game is a fireable game.
I agree.
You have Trubisky, you get Foles, you get Dalton, you have Fields. Like the idea that you decide to start Andy Dalton, he goes down, you invest draft capital in a future quarterback, and then you have no idea how to have it. Like you have no idea how to use him. You don't bring a game plan that simply he's young and inexperienced. Bring a game plan that just says protect him. Literally, like
I think he was sacked 9 times yesterday.
To me, and this is something that I also think terrible coaches do. And we go back to Sean McVay being a great coach. Is Sean McVay left the training wheels on Jared Goff the entire time?
Sure.
He was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I would rather, and this is what I've said about Daniel Jones the last few years. Like, how do you judge somebody? How do you judge Zach Wilson when Zach Wilson is running for his life? Literally.
You can't.
Put every single guy on the line to block. Take your best receiver, put him on the outside. Let the quarterback have to make one read. Like, this is an exaggerated way of saying what they should do, but not that exaggerated. If you have a young quarterback, protect them.
Look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, he's not putting up any impressive numbers for Carolina. Now, it helps they have a great defense, and they've had a pretty cush schedule. But look at Sam Darnold. Look at Sam Darnold on the Carolina Panthers versus how he was in the New York Jets. It's night and day. He looks comfortable. Yeah. He looks calm. He's not forcing bad decisions. He's not running for his life.
Yep.
It's night and day. I just think a lot of guys don't know how to protect their young asset
and develop them. I mean, through the years, how many guys do we have where it's like, we're just going to throw this guy out there. We're going to see what he can do. Then he looks bad. Then we move on. Then he goes somewhere else. Then he plays better. It's like, and honestly, this is like Nagy should have been fired immediately post-game yesterday. Jason Garrett should have been fired immediately post-game yesterday. What are you waiting for? It's a slap in the face to your fans. And the Giants, I mean, again, the Giants are a guy jumping off sides on a field goal and a bunny interception away from being 2-1. And you don't even need either of those if your offensive coordinator doesn't take his foot off of the half a gas pedal that he's on. And you're just going to let the guy hang out. You're just going to like any other job would be like, dude, we have to fire you. You've cost this company X amount of money. Like if a trader just goes into the fucking office and blows billions of dollars, like the Giants with Garrett and Judge slightly less so, the Bears with Nagy, like, how do you do this to your fan base?
Yeah, I mean, the Nagy thing is, like I said, I think it's really bad. And these guys, but like my thing is you give somebody 3 years. Like, let's see what you do in 3 years. And if it's been more than 3 years and you have shown incompetence, you got to get rid of these guys.
It's the Gase hire. It's like, like all these guys it's McCarthy. Look at what has happened when guys like, you know what? There should be a rule. There should be a rule that guys have to, like, if you get fired, you should have to sit out a year. Because when the Packers get better, when the Packers get significantly better,
it's night and day. Like
doesn't that tell you don't hire Mike McCarthy?
I mean, the Packers situation offensively is night and day. And the Packers now win 2 in a row. All these idiots, of course, I tweeted about, like, because I laugh about all these idiots who were saying Aaron Rodgers was done and he's too good and he's too smart. Like he said, hey, it's 1 week.
Week 1 after skipping the entirety of the offseason with yes,
the Packers are, by the way, I put the Packers right up there. Like if their defense plays how it did yesterday, I put the Packers right up there, contend for a Super Bowl. I do.
Everybody kind of wanted to say, like, blame the Aaron Rodgers. And guess what? I do blame Aaron Rodgers for week 1 because, and I blame the Packers organization. I blame the rift between the Packers organization and Aaron Rodgers for week 1. You have an entire week you have an entire offseason where you guys he's not coming to workouts. He's not on the same page. He's not doing whatever. You barely play in the preseason. Yes, that's the responsibility for week 1. But the idea that he was washed, that he was it's so, they figured out the Packers. It's like, guys, historically, there's just no evidence of this ever happening to anybody.
Yeah. I do wonder, watching that game last night, because they fall in a 17-0 hole. And Garoppolo, to me, is he'll make some bad throws. He'll make some fine throws. He'll do what he has to do. Like, he's nothing special. You got to wonder, though, watching that game, what his leash is. And at what point does Shanahan say, okay, we're handing the keys over to Trey Lance?
Well, they're 2-0, right?
2-1.
No, I'm saying going into that game, they're 2-0. You're on Sunday Night Football. It's like I feel like the leash with him. I feel like this is a very Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick situation. Is like, you have the whole year, you have practice, you have whatever of working this guy in, and I trust Shanahan so much more than I trust a Nagy or a fucking Jason Garrett to be doing all that work behind the scenes, the way Harbaugh was with Kaepernick, where, look at him, he's using him here randomly on the goal line, he's using him here randomly in a short yardage, and suddenly it flips and he's the starter. I just think Shanahan is going to ride Garoppolo as long as it makes sense to, as long as it's successful in terms of you're in the hunt for the division, you're in a playoff position, you're whatever. But I do believe Shanahan knows it's a Super Bowl or bust league. So it's like having him there and then potentially turning it over to a guy even late in this year when you think he has the experience now that he needs from getting game reps in the NFL, from getting tons of practice reps in the NFL, from building, certain aspects of the offense around. I could see it, but I also don't see him necessarily pulling the plug on Garoppolo until he feels like he has to win. And right now, to win football games, he doesn't have to do that. But winning football games is the goal right now. As you get to November and December, the goal is to win playoff games and win the Super Bowl. And so that's when I think you'll see if they lose a game like this, or if they're down 17-0 in a game like this in November, that's where I could see him go, because once you do that, it's hard to go back.
And I have to comment on the end of these games. You saw it, the end of that game. I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but I just don't understand these defenses. How many years are we going to do this? How many years? You saw it in the Ravens-Lions game. Dude, you're the Niners. You have a great front seven. You have great pass rushers. Aaron Rodgers was getting pressure on him. They were getting pressure on him all night. What, dude? It's 37 seconds. What are you doing?
I'll take it back one step. I think more egregious is not taking Indy at the goal line and kicking a field goal to win the game, as opposed to even putting it on your defense 37 seconds left, because the Packers don't have any timeouts. They can't stop. Like you don't,
I agree there as well.
Take a knee, go down on the one, take a knee, you win the game.
I agree.
Because here's the thing, defensively, they have no timeouts. They have 37 seconds left. You had one insane Aaron Rodgers only throw that gets the biggest chunk. Like, that defense wasn't that bad on that play. I mean, he gets it over the guy's hand by a foot. He drops it between two layers of the defense in the middle. It's like, and you still almost escape.
But again, my thing is, why not bring the fucking house, man? Bring everybody.
Because if then you could potentially get beat on one throw.
Big deal. You're gonna get beat on the field goal. Like, that's my point. You're giving up the big chunks anyway. I just don't get. Teams never want to bring people. They've never wanted to, the prevent defense does not work. If you watch that Baltimore Ravens Detroit Lions game, and I was watching it, Lamar Jackson sat back in that pocket, and he had all day to complete a 4th and 19 pass.
There's a huge difference from the Lions and the Niners, and even Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. I would argue, and this would be my argument. My argument would be Aaron Rodgers is literally the only guy who gets done in that situation what got done last night. And therefore, if you're playing the only guy who could do it, why are you even giving him the chance to do it? Tom Brady doesn't make that fucking throw. Like, I just don't think anybody but Aaron Rodgers in the league, in that situation, with that amount of time, with that amount of timeouts, with the way they were doing it, even gives you a chance to lose the game. So therefore, by that logic, don't even give him the ball. And I mean, I know people are hammering that. The Niners still almost got out of there. And it was just, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. That was the first throw over the middle between layers. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a great throw. I mean, look, but I agree. You can't give him that much time. In my head, I thought Packers are going to win this game. Like, he's at least going to give Mason Crosby a chance to win this game because he's that good. Again, maybe that's just me. I see all these games go. How many years? I've watched football religiously for 30, 31 years. How many times are we going to do this? By the way, that Lions game and that missed delay of game, because again, I was watching it live. That is such an egregious, awful call. It was almost 2 full seconds, and that shit cannot happen. And I legitimately feel bad for Lions fans that they lost that game. That should have been called. I don't know how it's not called. And you know what? To me, that is 100%. You see in the NBA, that's 100% favoritism to a former MVP. That's what it is.
I mean, there's obviously this thing. I mean, it being off that much seems crazy, but there is this whole thing of, specifically with the play clock, it's not always lined up on TV and whatever. But yeah, it seems insane.
I mean, Joe, it was, I'm watching it. I'm sitting there. I got the game mix on my computer or whatever. And I'm eating lunch or something, late lunch on my kitchen table. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? How is this not? Now, it was the most Detroit way ever to end a game.
Yeah.
He doinks it off the. He doinks it off the.
When Joe Judge and Dan Campbell take their motivational speaking shit on the road 2 years from now, when they've both been fired, and yet still get hired by whoever to be like, these guys were once NFL coaches. They're like, yeah, we went over in our fucking careers.
Well, we talked about the culture earlier in the show. Like that is Lions culture.
And this
losing that game.
And here's the thing about the line. And this is, people can say I'm a Giants homer or whatever, but like,
well, you are. That's your team,
right? But like the difference between and specifically, I'll also add before I even go into it, how bad the NFC East has been is like the Giants are 2 shitty losses in games that they, not realistically should have won, but like percentage wise, probability of winning wise should have won like 5 times over, away from being 2-1 in a shitty division. I know it's hard but like if you're the Lions, like, thank God you lost that game. Like, I'll say that, like, why do you want to win football games at this point? You're like,
I disagree there. You need hope. You need like if I'm a Lions fan, all I have is despair. When I lose a game like that is mentally backbreaking. You lose. There's a missed call for delay of game. Before that he completes a 4th and 19 with ease. He has a record-setting field goal. Dude, if you're a Lions fan, oh my God, that's got to be awful.
The Lions have to learn from their history, or they're doomed for it to repeat itself. And it's repeated itself 3 times now in ways that it's only ever happened to the Detroit Lions. You have now been given the opportunity for a 4th shot at it. Your goal as a Lions organization should be to once again put yourself in draft position to draft a Barry Sanders, a Megatron, a Matthew Stafford, and then for once, not fuck it up. For once, give that person some help. For once, give that person a competent head coach that can help that person succeed. For once, provide talent around the person. You have had this. Like, this is what gives me so much joy about the Matthew Stafford situation. All the tools, fucking number 1 overall pick comes and people go, oh, what has he fucking won? He's been on the Detroit fucking Lions. He's going to win an MVP. Like, that's what he's fucking won.
Wow. You are drinking 3 games in.
Well, I mean, at this point, he's getting MVP. But like, if a year ends today, he gets MVP votes, right?
A lot can happen though.
Right. A lot.
I mean, I'm just saying, like my guy Russ, after 7 games last year, was looking very MVP worthy, and we all know what happened the last 9 games.
Yeah, I would say Matthew Stafford and Russ are different players, and on different situations, different teams. Like, dude, I just think listen, I know it's hard when your team sucks but the same thing that goes for the New York Jets. Protect the kid. Don't bench guys who are going to be future teammates of this kid because they're not playing well. Like, you're not going to win football games, and you're in a really, really tough division. Like, build the team, like play to like make these.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I know what you're saying. I think a prime example of that was when Marvin Lewis took over the Bengals. He took over a 2-14 team. They go, I believe, 8-8 his first 2 years. Palmer sits for a year behind Kitna. He makes the change. And then we all saw Marvin did. I'll say this about Marvin Lewis, and I've been critical. He changed the culture in Cincinnati from losing to like, hey, we're making the playoffs all the time, mostly, or 4 out of 5 years. But he couldn't get them to the next level of changing that culture to we're expected to win playoff games.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think the Lions are so far removed, but they're also in a division outside of the Packers that's suspect, right? Like, you got the Matt Nagy situation in Chicago, Minnesota. Who knows? Minnesota looked great yesterday. Cousins looked great.
But here's the thing. There's no lack of good teams in football. There's no
Sure.
lack of good teams in the NFC West. So you're not likely finishing second. This is what I was saying about the Giants versus the Jets versus the Lions. It's like the team that wins the NFC East could be bad and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Being mediocre and finishing second in the NFC North to the Packers, you probably still don't make the playoffs.
Sure.
If you're not going to make the playoffs, fuck it.
I think, speaking of not making the playoffs, I don't think Seattle makes the playoffs this year.
Their division's too hard.
And their defense sucks. And their offense every week, it's funny watching Seattle, my guy Russ. They always have a great first half and they just suck every second half. They suck. Dude, Kirk Cousins was absolutely shredding them at will.
And that's a testament to the Seahawks defense, because if Kirk Cousins is pressured, he's got poop on his hands.
And Dalvin Cook didn't even play yesterday. And I think, Russ has never, this is my guy's test. Russ has never had a losing season. Well, I'm not saying I'm giving up on him after 3 games, but this could be the first losing season because, like you said, that division is just so hard. And the NFC in general is just so stacked.
And they win the division last year.
They go 12-4.
They have a first place schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Now we'll do some quick hitters. I want to discuss the Steelers. They're a team also losing record. I'm predicting it.
I predicted that last year and was a year early, but
I mean that offense yesterday.
Mike Tomlin though never has losing records. Coach of the year, so great, unbelievable.
Bringing back Big Ben,
him alone, right? Mike Tomlin alone with the Omar Epps look and the fucking mirrored sunglasses, looking like the guy who was Mavericks Rio after Goose died. Like we gotta no, Mike Tomlin isn't the GOAT.
Well, not just Tomlin. You bring this Ben Roethlisberger, old Ben. It's tough to watch, man.
You mean old Ben?
It is tough to watch. Their offense, they beat the Bills because of special teams and defense. I don't know. I mean, they're Pittsburgh. They might turn it around, but they're going to be tough. Now, let me ask this. Of the 3-0 teams, who's the most surprising? So you have the Broncos, the Raiders, the Panthers. Let's go from those because the Rams being 3-0 is not surprising. The Cardinals is the Cardinals being 3-0 surprising? It's really not to me.
No, I think the most surprising is probably the Panthers.
I agree.
I mean, they had obviously easy tests with the Jets and the Texans, but probably most surprising because they play a Saints team that everybody figures was going to be good in week 2. So they really only have one surprising win, but I'd say that's still kind of more surprising than the Broncos, who really don't what's the surprising Broncos win so far?
None. I would say it's Carolina. Are you watching these Saints games, by the way, at all?
Yeah.
I know the Saints fans we're sick of hearing it, Ruther. We're sick of hearing it. Dude, you guys have no chance of going anywhere. None. The amount of basic dumbed down offense. It's mind blowing.
It's now,
dude, Jameis Winston.
This is Jared Goff.
No, this is Jared Goff on steroids. Dude,
I know.
They're if you watch Jameis Winston where he's just slinging it around in Tampa Bay, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a single game.
Yeah.
They have a great defense. The Saints have a great defense.
Yeah. You talked about the Raiders. Obviously, they're one of the 3-0 teams, whatever. But this, all these rumblings, all this thing about Gruden not loving how safe Carr was. So yesterday he throws a wild pass that gets picked off for a pick six, puts him in an immediate hole in that game. But then also they come back and win the game because he is the whole year he has been taking shots and they're 3-0. It's like you have to have a balance of protect the football, but you can't play afraid. And you like the thing with Jameis is like, why is it even your guy if this is your strategy?
I couldn't agree more. You said this last week.
Bridgewater, you had him.
You had him. I couldn't agree more. If your strategy is play it safe, do a la Alex Smith type football, cool. You want to go 10-6? I'm sorry, 11-7. My math's terrible. That's 18. You know what I'm saying? This all messing me up. You want to go
7, 11
10-7, 11-6. You want to do that with this this defense is really good.
And cool. You can run the ball.
You're right. You got great running backs. You got Taysom Hill coming in for some packages.
They're lacking weapons on the outside these days, but
sure.
But so are the Giants yesterday when their first three receivers go down to start the game. They still drive the ball downfield until they get in the red zone. And
because you're still going to get the thing about Jameis is, right? You're still going to get like that touchdown pass that like where you're like, dude, you got lucky.
Yeah.
You're going to get that vintage Jameis, I would call it. Normally that's intercepted, but I really don't know. Jameis has a great arm. If you're going to have Jameis, let him throw the ball around. But I've watched all their games. I'd love to see, and I could be wrong. I'd love to compare the amount of snaps Taysom Hill's getting this year versus last year. I feel like he's getting in way more plays, and they have way more inclusive packages with him. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's getting more PT because, again, there's nothing dynamic with Jameis, at least how they're using him. But I don't know.
And meanwhile, their guy that they brought in as the high-paid backup to play safe football, should Drew Brees go down, is also 3-0 with the Broncos in Bridgewater. Now, I know you had on the rundown, read the rundown. I know you had on the rundown, which of these teams are pretenders? And I would say won't make the playoffs. I would say, I know. Listen, I know. Let me just get out in front and say, I know when we talk about 3-0 football teams that this is going to trigger the fans of those teams. Like, how dare you? We're fucking 3-0. What do you mean we're not the best team in football? How fucking dare you? The Broncos are just in too difficult a division. I just think the Broncos schedule so far and the style of the Broncos play is almost not suitable for the division. Like every other team in the division, when you play those division games, you could potentially be in a shootout situation with, or in a game where you're going to have to trade some scores. I just don't think the Broncos have enough offense for the division that they're in. If the Broncos were in the NFC East, yeah, they're going to the fucking playoffs.
Well,
but I just don't think in the AFC West.
I would argue the AFC isn't that good. So they have more of a chance because Carolina, while looking good, especially defensively, the NFC is so stacked. Well, again, I'm just making the
Carolina, the same thing. I agree, the same thing. But the Carolina, if they keep playing like they're playing, they get an easy win here and there against the Falcons. They get an easy win here and there, like maybe not against the Saints, not against the Bucks, but it's the same thing. It's a difficult division. So yeah, I think that those are the two teams. I think the Cam Peyton Super Bowl rematch teams are the ones that missed the playoffs, having started 3-0. But I think the bottom line is,
I think three teams could get in from the AFC West.
Cool. So the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. I mean, they have to jump one of them.
True. Because the NFC, the North, it's only going to be the Browns. The East is only going to be the Bills.
But I specifically think, and I think the Panthers. If I had to bet right now, I'd say the Panthers miss the playoffs as well. strength of
Okay.
the NFC. I think
Sure.
I think the Saints figure it out. The Bucs are obviously probably going to win that division, but when you specifically the Broncos in a division where they play 3 teams that can just load points onto the board, it's really like, to me, it's going to be hard. I don't see the Broncos going 500 in the division. And I know Broncos fans are losing their minds right now as they listen.
I mean, we'll see. These AFC and NFC West, the Western divisions are so good.
Like I almost like the Broncos 3 wins more than I like the Raiders 3 wins, because they're playing some defense. But again, the Raiders in a shootout with the Chargers, it's like, okay, let's see what happens. Or the Raiders in a shootout with the Chiefs, like, oh, okay.
By the way, those tickets I have sold within 5 minutes of that Raiders win.
Raiders Chargers.
They've been sitting on StubHub for a minute. The minute they won, I get an email like, boom, sold.
The minute they won yesterday,
like within 5 minutes.
When is that game?
It's Monday night. Next Monday
week.
night. Yeah.
You get a good price for him.
Same price as the Cowboys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Making dough. Look at this little sports investor.
Every day I'm hustling.
I just think given the styles of play in that division, it's going to be tough to be a team that's like, we're going to grind you out.
Yeah.
We've seen that's not a strategy for beating the Chiefs. We've seen.
You know what I want? I want low-key. I love obviously watching Mahomes play, and that offense is fun, but dude, I want chaos in that division. I want the Chiefs going like 11-6.
Bro, I don't give a fuck if the Chiefs go 8-9. Like, I don't care. Like, yeah, give me chaos. First of all, exciting to have the Chargers in LA be good. So good for them. Fun team to watch. Great quarterback. You know, I love the Raiders. I have no beef whatsoever with the Denver Broncos, besides the fact that, you know, John Elway's like throwing his wife down the stairs and no one talks about it. But
his son did that too, for the record.
Yeah. Now fix your teeth. I have no beef with the Broncos. Like, I know Broncos have good fans. I'm friends with Broncos fans. Like, I have no problem with it. It's like, yeah, give me chaos. Like, let's give us a crazy division. Same in the NFC West.
Yeah.
NFC West, obviously rooting for your Seahawks to, you know, continue to be the basement dwellers that they are.
Wow. That they are.
Well, they're in last place.
Sure.
They're the only team with 1-2 losses in the division.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think it's going to be tough sledding for them this year, especially with their defense. But I do feel, as we wrap up this week's discussion, this is going to be one of the most interesting and fun years in recent memory. I already feel that after 3 weeks. These games have been so much fun to watch. They've given me so much joy, like I said. And I'm not saying that lightly. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching these games. They're exciting.
Must be nice to be the fan of 3 winning football teams. Must be fucking nice, Andy.
Has nothing to do with that. I'm just enjoying watching.
Well, let me just say, the
entertaining football.
I agree. And, you know, obviously my enjoyment is tempered a little bit by the fact that my team is miserable. And now I have literally plans to travel across the country to just watch them fucking, you know, be shit again.
Another reason I'm really enjoying it is I'm crushing it on FanDuel right now.
Great.
Yeah. I'm really doing well on FanDuel. And Dirtballs, if you haven't signed up, new FanDuel fantasy players, your day is about to get 20% better. You can start playing fantasy this football season, and FanDuel will give you a 20% bonus on your first deposit up to $500. We just talked NFL for a good hour, 10 minutes. All these great players, these are all the guys you can pick up on your daily fantasy. You can start new lineups every day. They have so many different formats, the main slate, the single game, the best ball, the snake draft. You can even create private contests with your friends on FanDuel. Experience season-long wins without the season-long waits. Sign up today at fanduel.com/dirty to claim your bonus and start playing today. That's fanduel.com/dirty. Age and location restrictions apply. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires after 30 days. So if you guys want to get in on the action, there's no better place to do it. FanDuel.com/dirty. We got 14 more weeks of this.
Yeah. Can I say one other thing about the NFL? I don't know if we were wrapping it up there. But do you know another? You said you're thoroughly enjoying the season. Do you know what's? I would say bumped up my enjoyment of the season by at least 20% over other NFL seasons.
What's that?
And I know we've talked about our love of it before, but I just want to give a stat that was shared by the original Hall of Fame dirtball, Benengi. The Mannings doing Monday night. Big Mannings. They more than doubled their ratings last week. They went from, I believe it was like 900,000.
It was like 800,000 the first week.
Yeah, to 1.856 million in week 2. People are coming around. With the balance between the main broadcast and the gap is closing. And I say, well, almost like Trey Lance in San Francisco. Give me like a week 15 ESPN, just like, that's it. They're just a Monday night crew.
Yeah. Well,
give it to me.
Gives me reason to turn them on again tonight. Wouldn't want to watch the normal broadcast.
Yeah. And, as painful as it'll be to watch one of the two teams I hate more than any teams in the NFL go to 2-1. It's like, it'll make it that much easier to watch when I've got now Giants Ring of Honor member. Never again will anybody wear the number 10 in New York Giants football history. Eli Manning. It'll just make Monday night that much better. I look forward to Monday night football more than Sunday night football now. And that was never the case. That wasn't the case since Dennis Miller was in the booth.
Well, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the NBA with all this crazy news. That's what I'm going to get to. Let's discuss. Getting text messages of alerts.
Imagine the Ben Simmons situation not being the most insane point guard drama.
So Rolling Stone dropped a article on Saturday night. It's a long article. I suggest everyone reads it. It's called "The NBA's Anti-Vaxxers Are Trying to Push Around the League, and It's Working. Conspiracy theories in the locker room, mask police in the arena, superstars trying to avoid the shot after bringing back the culture from COVID. Basketball confronts its own civil war." Anyway, it's a nice in-depth investigative piece that the Rolling Stone published, and it's really interesting. At the center of it is, no surprise, Kyrie Irving.
Mr. Flat Earth.
So here we are again.
I mean, the article at one point saying, and they kind of buried this, right? This isn't, what was it? They're specifically like black people and the chips and like Satan. There's a quote about like a satanic cult or something like that. Like,
yeah, it's wild. I'll pull it.
And then the only quotes in the article about Kyrie are from like his crazy aunt Tyreka or something like that. Like, what the fuck?
Yes. So for the record, Kyrie is never on record on this article. I'm glad you brought that up. So Kyrie isn't on record, but Tiki Irving, My internet is jacking. It's funny. I'm trying to pull up this article and there's a million ads and you hear it like skidding in and out. So I don't want to keep pulling this up, which stinks. But oh no, to read the full story, I need to subscribe because I'm not subscribed and I already read it.
I think I got it here.
Okay.
It's a free subscription. So here, let's just jump to that.
Read the thing that you just said about the chip and the Satanist or whatever it was.
Yeah. So also, by the way, a big part of the article is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's thoughts on all this stuff, which he publishes on his Substack, which I subscribe to. I don't know if you guys do, if anybody knows, or for those of you who don't know, Substack is like a subscription-based blog situation, and Kareem's is awesome. So where is the satanic cult?
Well, basically, as you look for that,
situation.
I'll just kind of summarize the article because I read it yesterday morning. Basically, the NBA, and I don't know if everyone fully realizes this, the NBA's bubble was the most successful experiment that's kind of been done with COVID.
Yep.
And in fact, I watched a whole video the day before on that on the Wall Street Journal. They did a whole thing on it. It was pretty interesting how they're basically saying how successful sports, and it led off with NBA, have been in leading the fight for COVID, because these are the only sort of examples that we have. And the bubble was so successful, and it was also so extreme and such a big chance the NBA took. But now they're getting pushback, because what the article's saying, when the NBA wanted to mandate vaccines for everybody, the NBA Players Association, their union said that's a non-starter.
Right. And, you know, the bubble situation is one thing. The other thing that I don't think it was mentioned in this article, and I don't remember who, but I don't remember if it was Kareem or somebody, but the other thing that people pointed out is 99% of the WNBA is vaxxed, and now there's literally been no positive WNBA COVID tests. So like, there's also the idea of like, well, where's the proof? It's like the proof is in the other basketball league that is also owned and operated by the NBA that is showing you why this 100% would work.
Well, look, I know obviously you can still get it. Like, I'm not going to deny it. That's science. Like, we know you can still get COVID after you've been vaccinated. A lot of people have, but it also greatly diminishes.
Well, first of all, it greatly diminishes your chance of getting it,
and also greatly diminishes your chance of serious side effects or serious health.
Right. And then also this, yes, NBA players, young, generally healthy.
Sure.
Less likely, but like NBA players aren't the only people involved in running the NBA.
Yeah. So it seems like
I would say what a great opportunity to make sure all the refs are super young, but we know the NBA is not going to do that. So
the latest news as of this morning, Kyrie missed the media day today.
So there's two things,
because he is not vaccinated, it seems like.
Yeah. And there's mask/vaccination rules in New York and California. And this is the situation with Andrew Wiggins, who put in for some sort of religious whatever, but like
he was denied a religious exemption.
Yeah.
To not be vaccinated.
If you want to go to Madison Square Garden as a fan or as a popcorn seller or as a, security guard, you have to be vaxxed. Same in California. So you have a situation where Kyrie Irving playing in New York, Andrew Wiggins playing in California would potentially, unless they get vaxxed, not even be able to play for their teams. Now, obviously there would be a workaround there. Oh, well, this is there. It's like, but then again, you got to get into the question of the NBA. Yes, obviously it's a players' league, but we all know like the things that go into it, fans, that's all a part of the league. And it is kind of ridiculous to say we force all the coaches to get vaccinated. We force all the security guards to get vaccinated. But then we won't force Kyrie Irving to do it. And by the way, again, this is the most important part to me. No one's forcing you to do it. No one is forcing you to do it. You just don't have to play.
Yeah. Which, again, you could say that for a lot of jobs. Before COVID, you had to have vaccinations to have certain jobs, to be around kids, to go to certain countries. Those are requirements.
This is,
this isn't new. Now look, is this a whole bigger discussion? Yeah. And like, I have mixed feelings on certain things, and I'm sure you do too. Like, this is obviously a discussion you could go down forever. And quite frankly, I don't really care enough because everybody can do that on their own. But what I find interesting, one of the Kareem parts, and I agreed with him, is like, where are the stars being vocal? And you and I had a big discussion about LeBron back in the day. And I think that's a prime example of like, where are the stars being like, I'm vaccinated to help this? They're silent, is what Kareem was saying.
Well, and I agree with that. And I think that the like, for example, where's LeBron James on it is like, when we talked about LeBron James and vaccine, this is the beginning of the process, right? Now we're at a point where essentially so if Wiggins can't show up at the arena in San Francisco and Kyrie can't show up at the arena in Brooklyn, again, what this article is saying is Kyrie's not on the record as saying he's unvaccinated. Well, if he doesn't show up in New York, he's unvaccinated, right?
Yeah.
So if LeBron James shows up in Los Angeles, he is vaccinated, right?
Sure.
Now we'll take it a step further. Absolutely. Kareem's point of this is a issue of public health. Why wouldn't the stars, especially when the Black community is the least vaccinated? If the people, if the role models, if the celebrities, if Kanye can get people to wear the shittiest, ugliest sneakers I've ever seen and pay a ridiculous amount to get them because he says they're good, then yeah, there is value in LeBron James saying, get vaccinated. And it'll be interesting to see if those guys take that step. Why they haven't so far, that is a great question. And obviously Kareem, as a guy who's one of the all-time faces of the NBA, is doing just that.
And also someone who was heavily involved in the civil rights movement, Kareem. Yeah. So you have a guy who has been at the forefront both through his playing on and off the court. So it is interesting. I mean, look, at this point,
by the way, here's what it took me forever to fucking find this. Irving, who serves as vice president on the executive committee of the Players Union, recently started following and liking Instagram posts from a conspiracy theorist who claims that secret societies are implanting vaccines in a plot to connect Black people to a master computer for a plan of Satan. The Moderna microchip misinformation campaign is spread across multiple NBA locker rooms and group chats, according to several of the dozen-plus current players, Hall of Famers, league executives, arena workers, and virologists interviewed for this story over the past week. So NBA locker rooms are literally talking about microchipping on their iPhones in group texts.
I did see a great tweet about that. That was what I saw. I go, you got to love that they're liking these conspiracies on their iPhones that we already know are tracked.
Yeah.
The massive irony here that they don't even realize is just hilarious.
And by the way, the government, the whole thing of tracking, forget Apple. Forget opting into Apple to, track you. Forget opting into Instagram and Facebook tracking every single thing you do. Forget the things that you opt in on. Just the idea of a cell phone. If you have a Nokia flip phone, these days, the government is already on the record as saying we can read and watch and listen to everything you do for public safety. Right? Want to make sure no one's a terrorist. Want to make sure you're not plotting everything. We're allowed to listen to everything you do. No one gave a shit.
Yeah. Well, it's, look at myself and it's like, my brothers bust my balls hard. They call me a conspiracy theorist, and I take a lot of jokes. And I don't know if I'm a conspiracy theorist. I know I will entertain a lot of theories. I definitely have I don't trust anybody mentality, especially with our government. And whether that's right or wrong is a different discussion. The reason I'm saying this is I definitely entertain theories, but I don't say they're 100% true. Like, for example, I'll watch some crazy videos, man. I will. I was watching one the other day. Did you know the conspiracy theory that Suge Knight gave Eazy-E AIDS?
Okay. I didn't know
Have you heard this?
No.
So I had not heard it. It's wild. It's crazy. It's probably something Sam Tripoli would do a podcast on. Is it entertaining? Yeah. I watched a few videos on it. Doesn't really, I probably don't believe it, but it's like, oh, that's a crazy idea. Right.
Well,
but my point is
conspiracy theories is
always, my point is this real quick, Joe. My point is this, like that's such a minor, oh, cool. I'm watching a few videos. Did Suge Knight give Eazy-E AIDS, which killed him? That's a wild idea. It's a wild conspiracy. It's not hurting anybody. Me, why? But like what you just read, that conspiracy, that's Looney Tunes, man.
Well, first of all, there's a conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories that goes back to, the government puts certain conspiracy theories out in the mix so that people talk about them instead of talking about the real things that they should be talking about.
Sure.
There is a conspiracy theory about one of the great conspiracy theorists. What's the dude who fucking Rogan has on all the time now? Alex Jones. Yeah. There's a long running theory that Alex Jones is a CIA operative whose sole purpose is to keep people talking about the conspiracies that the American government and the fucking New World Order and whatever don't care about you talking about.
Interesting.
And keeping you, off the scent of the things that they do. The other thing with conspiracy theorists, and I would say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist because I don't have conspiracy theories, as opposed to I believe in conspiracies. I think the worst part of people who are conspiracy theorists is they know something is fishy and then they jump to explain what did happen. I don't know who killed JFK. Okay. But I know Lee Harvey Oswald didn't kill JFK by himself he didn't do it. Just because I don't know the answer doesn't mean I don't know the wrong answer. I always talk to people. I say, what's 10,564 times 9,500,015? Multiple choice. Is it A, 4, B, 7, D, 9, or, C, 9, or D, none of the above? It's like, just because I don't know what the number is doesn't mean that I don't know it's not the three options you gave me.
Yeah.
Too often people try to tell you what is happening. This is what's happening, man. It's like, you don't know what the fuck is happening.
Sure. We don't know.
You just don't know that the answer that you've been given is what's happening. That's fine. People always discredit themselves by having to have a theory that they believe in.
Yeah.
This is what happened. I know Oswald didn't fucking do it by himself. What did happen? I haven't fucking studied it enough. Now,
well, it's and to kind of bring it back,
you'll never know with certainty.
Yeah, and to bring it back to the NBA, none of us know for sure.
But we know it's not a satanic cult where they're microchipping you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if the guy who's leading, if you have two groups in the NBA, and the unvaccinated groups
is led by Kyrie Irving,
a flat earther, and Jonathan Isaacs, who's, only didn't storm the Capitol because he had a fucking game that day. Just look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Kyrie Irving thinks the world is flat.
Yeah. Kyrie has always been a contrarian to the point of he's almost doing it to sound smart or clever. When a lot of
He's
times,
a red pill.
when a
He
lot of
took
times
the red pill.
it's just obnoxious. He has a history of this. And it comes to a certain point of you're such a distraction. And you always have to weigh that as a team. The distraction versus the talent. Is it worth it? He's been this way since he joined the league.
But here's the difference in distraction versus talent and with Kyrie. This is the thing that's always brought up with Kaepernick is he wasn't talented enough to justify his place on a team. To justify, then the other thing is obviously the ludicrous, to justify him wanting $40 million, which there's absolutely no evidence of. Kyrie is voluntarily missing basketball games all the time.
Yeah.
He's voluntarily making a decision not to get vaccinated and therefore ineligible to participate in his own home games. Distraction is one thing. Just straight up not being there. You have a roster spot. You have part of the salary cap. You're not there.
Then don't play. Take away your money. Yeah.
This is the same. This is Kyrie is just a super version of what I've said all along with the Kirk Cousins and the whatever. Is like you're putting yourself in a position where without getting injured, you could at any point be pulled away from this team when you don't have to be.
Yeah.
There's the vaccine conspiracy. There's the anti-vaxxing. There's whatever. And then there's just being a terrible teammate. Colin Kaepernick was showing up to practice every fucking day, showing up to every game, literally not bothering anybody.
And to bring everything way back to the beginning of the show, with Facebook and all this, we talk about conspiracies. It's already been proven. This is all in the investigation that the Wall Street Journal did, which is also available on podcast form if you want to check it out. They purposely create division, Facebook. And this goes into this. So that's not a conspiracy. They purposely elevate. That was part of the thing that was kind of fascinating. Comments. That's what it was about. They purposely elevate comments to the top of the algorithm that are going to get people fighting. Right. And I assume Twitter does the same thing. So now you have this division because it's good for people staying on the app. Right. And it's good for content and it's good for all those things, which the longer you're on the app, the more ads you can see, the more revenue that Facebook and Twitter or whoever can generate. So think about it. Kyrie is playing into this and all these people play into this and they get everybody to fight. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. And here we are. And this shit's never going to go anywhere. But you're right. At the end of the day, dude, either play or don't. It's not the same, but I'll just say for myself, I got an email the other day. I have to wear masks again all basketball season as the coach, even though I'm fully vaccinated. Am I annoyed? Yeah. Like I don't personally want to wear a mask.
Totally.
And
who wants to wear a mask?
And do I think it's ridiculous that our kids, again, will play on the court unmasked? Then the minute they sit on the bench, the same rules apply as last year. He's got to put the mask on. Yeah. Do I think that's ridiculous?
Of course it's ridiculous.
But you know what? It is what it is.
Guess what else is ridiculous, Andy? Guess what else is fucking way, 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 way more ridiculous? That me and a 95-year-old person wearing, glasses for their 21 million vision drive the same fucking speed on the highway. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But guess what? What do? You put up a sign on the fucking highway every 8 feet. This is your fucking speed limit. This is your speed limit. This is your speed limit. This is your speed limit. No, you don't. You make one rule for everybody. And it's ridiculous that me and an elderly person have to drive the same speed on the fucking freeway. But this is how fucking, now listen, I am an anarchist. I say fucking none of it. I say let the people all fucking unvaccinated all fucking die. I actually love that we have some sort of, fucking evolution situation here where dumb people are being fucking killed off. But the bottom line is, this is like, we're just trying to have a society, and it's insane that we have some. Do you remember just being like, oh, we're all going to get vaccinated and we're going to finally be done with this. The vaccine's ready. Everybody's going to take it. And now we're not, because we have 4% of the world's population and 25% of the COVID cases, because people just go, nah, I've done my own research. It's insane.
Well, yeah. And like I said, obviously this division is being put in front of us and people fall prey to it. But back to my point, I'm left with two options as a fourth grade basketball coach. I think either I don't coach because I don't want to wear a mask, or I coach and wear the mask and just shut up and don't bitch about it, which is what I'm going to do. I think, again, are there holes in the rational, logical thought process of this? Yeah. There is. But dude, at the end of the day, I'm just going to wear my damn mask and it's fine.
You got vaccinated and you're going to wear your mask because you still want to do it.
Yes.
And also, what's the downside? So if you don't do it, like, you're giving up, but like, what's the downside? Like what negative comes from, it's like annoying to wear a mask.
Sure.
It's annoying to have to get vaccinated when I haven't taken I haven't been to the doctor in 25 years. I've never gotten a fucking flu shot. I never do any of that stuff. Yeah. It's annoying to have to do that. It's annoying to have to wear a mask everywhere you go. But like, how annoying is it? Is it more or less annoying than being like, oh, maybe because I didn't get vaccinated, even though I didn't even fucking feel it, I spread it and I killed somebody's fucking grandma.
I think for someone like Kyrie, that's what he has to ask himself. Do you really want to play? Whether it's him or anyone else. Because if you want to skip your home games when you play for Brooklyn.
Dude, I did it just to go to fucking Mets games. I'm not even on the Mets, guy.
Yeah. Then you don't really want to play.
Right.
And by the way, and that's totally fine. Dude, if you don't want to get vaccinated, I've said that all along. That's fine. I'm not here. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I don't care what you do. You do what you do, you. But if you don't want to get vaccinated, then just don't play basketball. That's totally fine.
Well, it's funny because there's this thing. So that, in all the division, whatever, one of the big like memes, for the anti-vax is like, what happened to my body, my choice? What happened to my body, my choice? It's like, dude, it's exactly the same thing as you guys have been saying for years. If you get an abortion, you're not going to heaven. It's against God's will. You're not going to heaven. You're not allowed in heaven if you get an abortion. And women are like, well, my body, my choice. I guess I'm not going to fucking him. If that's true, I guess I'm not going. They make that decision. Same thing. Your body, your choice. You just don't get to go to basketball games. Your body, your choice. You just don't get to go to basketball games. I literally got vaccinated to go to Mets games. I'm not on the Mets. Kyrie Irving won't get vaccinated to go to Nets games. He is on the Nets. I care more about my baseball team that doesn't pay me millions of dollars to be on it than he cares about his basketball team that does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, though. I'll be, as a betting man, I don't know if I put my odds that he does get vaccinated or doesn't.
Oh, I'm putting
I'm
it
leaning
on.
towards no right now.
Yeah. But then the other question is, Andy, like, what do you think his fear is? Like, what do you think stop? Like, that's the thing I don't get. Because I gotta believe it's these guys who think that they're getting microchipped and that there's a satanic cult and whatever.
There's a history. Obviously, there's a bad history with the Tuskegee experiment, and there's a bad history with our government and Black people.
Totally. Totally.
I mean, which is totally understandable.
Of course, it's understandable. The only reason it's not understandable in this situation is all the rich old white people that work in government got it first.
Yeah.
You're going to be afraid of something. Be afraid of the things that they're giving only to Black people.
Sure.
Be afraid of Popeye's chicken that they fucking put in only Black neighborhoods. Don't be afraid of something that
preach.
Don't be afraid of something that all the rich old white New World Order people took the second they could.
Yeah. And that's what I've been saying forever. As you referenced Popeyes. That's been the most troubling thing for me through all this is the lack of discussion of health, lack of discussion of our obesity problem, the food we put out there and the food that we all eat. And nobody wants to talk about that. But here we are, man. It's again, I don't see an end in sight in all this stuff. And for the most part, I'd say all of us can live normal lives. I feel like I have, and I have felt very safe since I've been vaccinated. And I'm sure some people feel safe that they're not vaccinated on the opposite side. And that's fine too. But I just want to trust science on these things. And, you do you, Kyrie, but don't play.
I don't trust science because I don't know enough about fucking science. I don't trust science because I don't read scientific journals. I trust people, and I don't trust Fauci. I don't trust the CDC.
Sure.
I trust my friends who are scientists. I trust my friends who are doctors.
Yeah.
I trust my 4 doctor friends I called. I trust fucking Dr. Dirtball Zach Olmstead, who's fucking, the amount of shit he shares with me in terms of like the research he does on whatever. Like, dude, I trust the fucking dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. It's like, I just trust people. And unfortunately, I think this is too true for guys like Kyrie Irving and probably a lot of guys in the NBA. Their circle probably isn't a lot of doctors that Kyrie Irving probably didn't grow up with like a ton of fucking doctors he can call. And everybody's like, he went to Duke. It's like, he went to Duke for a year.
Yeah. And obviously they're not trusting the people that are talking to them at any of these NBA symposiums or NFL symposiums, whatever it is.
Dude, trust Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I know. All this,
by the way, let me leave one thing about the NBA. It doesn't dude, I'm like, if those guys don't play because they refuse it, like, I won't even think about them during the fucking year. Let's be like, oh, it's like Kyrie's out with an ACL. Sure. It's like Wiggins is out with an ACL. He's just not on the squad. I won't even think about him.
I agree. Well, I know we have a limited time and we got to get through a couple more things. And also I'm starving, for the record. Change the topic. I am really hungry. Today is a nice, warm, high 70s day. Perfect time for me to grill out some of that amazing Butcher Box meat, Joe. I love this stuff, guys. It's 100% grass-fed and finished beef. Listen to all the stuff they have. The 100% grass-fed and finished beef, the free-range organic chicken, humanely raised pork, the wild-caught lobster tails and wild-caught Alaskan salmon, the sugar-free bacon. And here's something even better. Today's sponsor, Butcher Box, is offering our listeners ground beef for life. Does it get any better than that?
I don't think so. For life?
Life.
Tell me more, Andy. How does this for life deal work?
Oh, that's exactly what I'm going to do here. The process is very simple. Once you're signed up, you choose your box and delivery frequency. They offer 5 boxes, 4 curated box options, as well as the popular custom box. So you get exactly what you and your family love. ButcherBox ships your order frozen at peak freshness and is packed in a 100% recyclable box and is shipped always free. You enjoy great tasting, high quality meat delivered right to your door. And I absolutely love everything they have. Really love that sugar-free bacon we were talking about. That I put that in my breakfast, the Andy Ruther breakfast scramble. I had some of their lobster tails, boiled those, turned that into a nice little salad with the lobster meat. Is it lobster meat? That doesn't make sense. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Why wouldn't that make sense? Of course it makes sense.
So Dirtballs, this is your chance to never have to shop for ground beef again. That's right. ButcherBox is giving new members free ground beef for life. Sign up now at butcherbox.com/dirty and get 2 pounds of ground beef free in every order for the life of your membership. So log on to butcherbox.com/dirty to claim this deal. Okay. What is your heart out?
11. I get called 12 more minutes would be
okay.
Good.
12 more minutes. So we'll skip calls today. 310-359-8365 is the hotline. If you got a call, we'll leave it. We'll get to those next episode. We have to discuss briefly then the Cardinals winning 16 straight. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. We both saw it coming.
It's unbelievable.
It is pretty unbelievable.
The end of the year, they have the 3rd longest consecutive win streak in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
And they waited to the very end of the year to do this. It's the most St. Louis Cardinals thing ever.
How now you're a NL Central guy. How do you feel like you win this many games, you're obviously playing great baseball. How do you think from all the Cardinals, what you've watched this year, do you think they compete against a Giants or a Dodgers? It's
tough, man, but any game, one game.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. One game. No, of course, anybody can win that wild card game. I'm saying then they're going to have to take on who? Will it be another? It would be the Brewers for them, right? After they get through.
No, they would play the team with the best record, right? Which would be the Dodgers or Giants.
Right. Sorry.
I don't see them winning. But again, I don't know what to think when you win 16 in a row. It's like, who knows?
Yeah. You hate to see it. Both of our teams hate the Cardinals.
I hate the Cardinals more than any team in that division. And then I have mixed feelings. The Reds gave 2 more years to David Bell in the middle of the meltdown. And it's like, the argument is they were expected to be way worse than they were. They competed. My counter argument would be you caught lightning in a bottle with 37-year-old Joey Votto. Nick Castellanos is best year ever. Wade Miley's best year, I think, ever. It's like,
so the counter to that argument is they caught lightning in a bottle, or he's responsible for those guys' best years.
I know he's a player's manager and they like him. He's also an analytics dude. So I don't know. It's just interesting that you would give a guy a contract in the worst stretch of the year. You didn't do it in August when they were 13 games above 500. You waited till they were about 4 games above 500 after losing all his games. So I don't know, but
you got to be happy with your season, even though the way it ended, right? Like you didn't want him fired.
Yeah, you get your hopes up, man. Like I said last episode, this city is just, Bengals fans are losing their mind already, and I'm just laughing because they have Jacksonville on Thursday, so they'll probably go to 3-1.
Yeah.
And I just laugh.
You got Jamar Chase, who's winning fantasy leagues on the Ruther curse alone.
The Bengals last 6 games I looked at are so like 6 or 7. It's so tough.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking by they don't win 7 games. Am I crazy?
Wow. I mean, no, I don't think you're
Does my
crazy.
hate go so hard for the Cincinnati Bengals that I think that they don't, even if they start 3-1, I don't think they win 7 games. And I still think drafting Chase was terrible over an offensive tackle.
I mean, my thing with that is always, and I will, I've backed you on that, which is just, you have a young quarterback, you got to protect him. They're not, I'll tell you one thing that they're not doing this year. They're not winning a playoff game. They're not winning the Super Bowl. You're going to have to pay, you eventually have to pay. You hope that Joe Burrow is so good, you have to give him a massive contract one day, right?
Sure.
Why wouldn't you pair that with a guy to protect him? Like, it's just
doesn't make sense.
Historically in the NFL, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you're better off having a great quarterback and a great offensive line than you are having a great quarterback and a great receiver to pair him with. It's like, you don't need, like, who's Tom Brady's star receiver ever?
Exactly. Look how many different guys Aaron Rodgers has gone through.
Yeah.
Well, look, I know you got to go, so we can wrap this up. Again, call the hotline, 310-359-8365.
Please call the hotline. We'll do extra calls in the next episode.
Sure. Drop a podcast review. I'm sending out some more koozies today. Leave your Instagram or Twitter handle in that review and check your DMs. And if I haven't sent you one I'm supposed to, remind me at Andy Ruther with DM, please.
You can follow me on all social media at Joe Prano, except for Twitter. I'm at Fix Your Life. I don't know how it would be possible at this point for you not to know that I'm in New Orleans this weekend, but I know that it is possible. I'm in New Orleans this weekend, Comedy House, New Orleans, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, going to watch my 0-3 Giants versus Jameis on Sunday. So if you're down in that area, come out to a show. Ticket link in all of my bios. Buy tickets early. Don't wait. It's a very small club. Please don't. Please, please, please. If you're thinking about coming, don't get fucking, sold out. It's a super small club. It would be so pathetic if you'd be like, there's no tickets left. Please, if you're going to come, buy the tickets now. I have more shows coming up in San Diego with Eddie Ift. A lot of shows getting planned for November with Eddie. So stay on my website at joeprano.com.
All right. That is our show today. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Have a great start to your week. We'll be back on Thursday. And as always, stay dirty.